sorry that this isn't Wet n Wild, if you were hoping for more Wet n Wild. I'm not completely abandoning that. I am hoping still to get Wet n Wild basically finished before Christmas. Now I'm that guy with two active series on the channel. Imaginary country on the border between the two, a bit like Luxembourg. Going into the new year, we can kind of just be concentrating on this. Hello everybody, welcome back to Planet Coaster 2 and welcome back to Le Jardin Magique, and I guess just, welcome back in general. It's been a while. How have you been? What have you been up to? I appreciate that I've been gone for a while. I've had a big, nice, long break from the game, and in the past couple of weeks I've finally been back in the game, making lots of progress on the park, so I thought it was about time to get in here and record an episode. Talk a little bit about what I've been up to, where I've been, what's in the future for this park, all that kind of stuff. So I thought we'd just start today with a little time lapse, so I can just sort of waffle a little bit about, everything that's been going on for the last 6 months, I think it's been since I posted a video. So yeah, what happened? Well, I think like a lot of people, maybe not a lot of people, but last year I went really hard on YouTube and Stevetown for like 6 months or something. Basically I think I started in June or July with Stevetown, and basically for the entire second half of last year I was just like no-lifing the game, putting a lot of time and energy into it, and the YouTube on top of that, and the burnout eventually just caught up with me. It's what happened. Well, it was a combination of that and Christmas hit basically, and I had to stop playing the game because social engagements always start occurring in December. It's just the classic thing of as soon as you take your foot off the gas, you kind of lose the momentum, and then it's then I started thinking like, oh, now that I've stopped playing, maybe I'll just like check out some of these other games or whatever other things that I've been neglecting for the last 6 months. Maybe I'll just go and do some of that stuff for a bit, and then once as I said, once you take your foot off the gas and lose the momentum, it's like, well, I'm not going back to that now. Like, the spark is gone, the burnout is real. I'm just like enjoying doing other things. Yeah, I don't know. I imagine it's similar for a lot of people who play these kinds of games that require kind of a combination of having to be creative, which is its own kind of resource pool that you have to draw from, which can get drained and needs to be like replenished. It's that kind of creativity mixed with this game, which requires like long, intense play sessions where you're doing often very like repetitive, fiddly, precise things. Not to mention the fact that when this game first came out, I enjoyed it. I put a lot of time into it, but we were sort of fighting with the systems in the game to an extent. So I think those things in tandem with like 6 months of absolutely grinding the game beforehand, it all just came to a head really. And then as soon as I took like a week off or whatever, for a couple of weeks off around Christmas, I just had no desire to get back into the game after that. And on top of all of that, my day job has basically been having like the busiest start of the year in the company's like history. So I've been working really hard in my day job and I've been absolutely knackered. So when you combine all these things, it's just like zero desire to play the game basically. And like I said, with the state of the game, it wasn't the worst thing in the world to take a little bit of a break and just wait for them to do some of their update stuff. I think there is kind of a phenomenon where they're like dangling these potential updates down the road. Like at the start of the year, they were like, don't worry, we're going to fix the game, we're going to add all this cool stuff. And then they start announcing the updates and you're like, so in like a month or 2 months time, there's going to be all these other great features. I'll just wait for them to come. And then they would do another unlocked stream at the end of the month with more features coming next month. It's like, maybe I'll just wait till next month then. And it just kept rolling over basically. And then it wasn't until this last set of updates that they announced, in tandem with me finally catching up on Mary's Revenge on YouTube, his amazing Disney World project that he's doing. I was watching that, and it's just his like usage of the pieces is really inspirational, and he's a very thoughtful, interesting guy. Highly recommend that series if you've not watched it. He's criminally undersubscribed. But yeah, watching that and then this latest little round of updates, it was finally like, right, it's time to get back in the game, pick up this project again. And I should also say that I haven't been completely neglecting the game since November. I've hopped in a few times sporadically and made progress on a little bit of what I'll show you today. But the vast majority of this got done in the last couple of weeks. So yeah, I think that basically covers us up until now. Very briefly, can just touch on the time-lapse that's been happening the whole time in the background. These little ticket booths, I was initially using the ones that you could see before, the building it started as, which was just a little placeholder that I grabbed from the workshop. I think it's made by Plastic Swans. They're great little ticket booths, but they were just placeholders, so I wanted to just replace them with something a bit more fitting for the theme of the park. And I was pleasantly surprised to find that you can fit the information booths, 2 of them back to back inside these little ticket booths. So yeah, I've done that for all 4 of them. You know, hopefully at some point there will be staff members standing in there. You'll see as we explore the Main Street area a little bit that I'm generally trying not to do interiors, because as soon as you start adding interiors, it like severely limits the kinds of pieces that you can use on the exterior of the building, because you can't just have things sticking through the wall in the same way that you can if you aren't doing interiors. And I also just find that interiors are really hard to do well, and yeah, it's a whole other like discipline to learn. Interior design, like interior layout, all those things, and I think they have to be done really well to look good for my taste. Yeah, I don't know, at the moment it's just not something I'm interested in investing the time into. The time and the energy cost of working on interiors is not worth the payoff for me at the moment, which isn't to say at some point down the line I may come back through the park and retrofit interiors in certain places if the mood strikes. But at the moment I'm not doing interiors on the main buildings, but with little things like, you know, like quick service food stands and these kinds of little ticket booths and kiosks, I think it's quite fun to do little interiors. And yeah, I was just chuffed that we could fit those information desks in there, and I think it helps sell them really well. Yeah, pretty pleased with how they came out. Okay, so here we are. This is the entrance to the park as it stands at the moment. You can see these nice little ticket booths that I was building in the time-lapse. One thing I'll say just before we get going is you're going to notice loads of this amazing artwork that SP Ridley has been creating, including these little statues and posters and stuff. And I will bring SP on in the next episode and we'll do a deep dive on all of the amazing lore and artwork and stuff that we've been working on. For this first episode, I just wanted to hop on and do a little run through myself, mainly because I'm just incredibly rusty. But yeah, I'll get SP on in the next episode and we'll look at all this stuff in detail. Anyway, we've got the little ticket booths here. This entrance area is kind of why does it keep flashing? What the f is that? But yeah, so basically this entrance is kind of, it's extremely whip still. It's worth mentioning. It may not stay this shape and this setup. I don't know. You know, I don't know if this fence here is permanent. I don't know. All this stuff in the middle, I think I'm happy with. But yeah, until I've figured out exactly what's going to go on over here, especially. The plan is to have like a hotel on the left side here, which I'll touch on a little bit more in a minute. But yeah, on the right side here, I'm not sure exactly. I guess there'll just be like some kind of access to the backstage over there and stuff. I don't know. We'll get there. Anyway, as you can see, we've now got this little centerpiece here for the sort of main IP character, little hero mascot. Just exquisite statue work from SP Ridley here. And yeah, as I say, we'll go over that in some more detail next time. He's been doing outstanding work. So yeah, then coming through here, again, this is all unfinished, super whip. There's going to be a hotel on the left side here. It's going to look significantly less boxy than this giant box. But yeah, the idea is that if you're staying in the hotel, you'll just be able to kind of seamlessly walk across the plaza over into the park here. This is all basically as it was in the first episode. I did make this little dragon mascot guy using the pieces that they gave us they used to be part of the kiddie coaster, the junior coaster, and then when they gave us the unthemed version, we now have the pieces as separate pieces, and you can make this. I made this cute little dragon guy. So I was thinking, I don't know, we'll find a use for him to be sprinkled throughout the park. I think these toilets are new. I don't think they were here in the first episode. Yeah, very straightforward. Not much to say about that really. It's toilets, bit of rock work to tie it into the scene on the left here. And again, we've got some really nice characters here. And then coming through into the main street, we've got lots to cover. So on the left, we've got the kind of guest services, or accueil, I think is how it's pronounced. Accueil. I'm going to get roasted in the comments, there is no doubt. Yeah, this is just your classic guest services. You know, if you need to talk to customer service for some reason, or if you need to hire a stroller or a wheelchair or whatever, this is where you come, just immediately on your left as you come into the park. And on the right side of the entrance, we've got the first aid area, a little sort of staff entrance to the backstage, and again, just a sort of gate here to allow vehicle access out onto the main street here if it's needed. Been trying to carry through this kind of like cartoony, slightly wonky, exaggerated shapes and forms across all the buildings, as was kind of established with the entrance. Just past the gate here, I've got this little kind of, this building is just pure facade really. There's nothing, it's covering up some kind of backstage building. But I was pretty pleased with this little bench in a little nook. Nice little moment for guests. And then continuing on, we've got a little ice cream quick service, some seating areas. I actually kind of stole the idea for these Lipton umbrellas. There was somebody on Reddit, I think it might have been during Planet Coaster 1, who was asking about if it would be possible to make umbrellas like this in TMGK. And I think I replied to their comment saying it would be easy, but also you could just do it using in-game signs. And then I was looking at references and I saw some Lipton umbrellas in a European park, and I was like, well, we've just got to do that, haven't we really? And at the moment you can see some of the arch shapes sticking through on the underneath. I need to figure out if I can do something about that. I guess I could just make them smaller and thinner and then use way more pieces. I don't know. Anyway, it's one of those little details that just really helps sell the whole vibe. And then, on the right here, we've got Maison Glace ice cream stand. I've not yet done the interior on any of these quick service restaurants. So it's all vibe really at the moment. We've got the ice cream place. Then we've got this little chicken quick service under here. Banquet de poulet. I was pretty chuffed with this. Using this cloud panel piece, coloured brown to make it look like chicken, and then using these little coral pieces to kind of look vaguely like some sort of lettuce or herb or something. And then on the left here, we've got Le Chien Chaud, which literally means the hot dog. Getting really creative with the names here. And the design of this building was a little nod to Plopsaland, which was obviously a heavy inspiration for this whole project. There's a building that looks very similar to this at the end of the main street in Plopsaland, with these kind of little arched awnings. That was the initial kind of reference. It doesn't really look anything like that building anymore, but that was the initial kind of reference. And I guess one thing to point out here is I've been using these lily pad, it's not going to let me select it because of the hitboxes, but I've got these little lily pad pieces being used as kind of a visual motif throughout the whole park. So they're running across this frieze. Can we call that a frieze? I don't know. They're running across here. They're all around here. There's some up here. They're on a bunch of the buildings. I'm really chuffed with this right side of the main street here. And then over on the other side, we've got the Jardin Magique, which is kind of a gift shop, a large gift shop. The ideas for this gift shop kind of started really with this central kind of, I don't know what you call this, architecturally speaking, this kind of entry area with the archways, which in turn came from this roof structure, which was basically this top bit anyway, directly stolen from a building in Final Fantasy IX. And then I was like, how can I turn that into a shop, basically? So I took this roof area here, started the whole thing, and then it just kind of snowballed out from there with this kind of archway entrance area, and then carrying along the kind of wings of the building here. And yeah, I'm really pleased with how this looks. I think this did a really nice job of kind of bringing the cartoony sort of aesthetic from the entrance area into the main street here. And then the guest services kind of came after the fact, and I was sort of trying to carry this vibe around the corner here. So this kind of turret motif repeats a little bit across to this building here, and just the color palette and everything is carrying across to create a sort of consistency between these two buildings. And then next door we've got a little sweet shop. It's possible, I mean, I think I've mentioned this before, but I think it's, these buildings will probably be linked on the inside. It's just like another doorway into the area of the shop where all the sweets are, and maybe there's another checkout till in this end of the shop. And again, we've got the little kind of lily pad motif across the front here. I'm probably heavily overusing the word motif, but we ball. These windows here, I think when they add the coloured glass in the next update, I'm going to redo quite a lot of these windows to have proper little kind of coloured glass elements. And then on this corner here, we've got le réfectoire de Peter. How do we feel about that pronunciation?
Le réfectoire de Peter.
I feel like I'm going to get so heavily roasted in the comments throughout this entire series as I repeatedly attempt to announce these names that I'm giving all the buildings. But yeah, this is basically the sort of family restaurant for this area of the park, and I think I need to make it quite a bit bigger actually. It's pretty small at the moment, so I think the footprint is going to extend in this direction, maybe even go around the corner here like this, but this is where it stands at the moment. I've kind of been umming and ahhing over this building because it's much less kind of cartoony than the rest of the buildings, but I think it still looks quite realistic and quite kind of European. So I don't know, I think maybe when I extend it, I'll add a second turret to the building here, and I'll use that as an opportunity to kind of bring this slightly more some of the rock work or something, just to give it a bit more of the kind of cartoony proportions to help it kind of like fit in a little bit more. But I don't know, I'm really pleased with it, so I don't want to change it too much. But this is the restaurant. These tables and chairs are made by Remnant, and I absolutely love them. Although obviously since I built this, they have now added proper sit-down restaurants into the game. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that, really. The problem is that the tables and chairs from the game are absolutely massive. You can't do this more realistic kind of tables and chairs setup. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do about that. We shall see. And then the last little thing to look at over on the other side here, Le Trésor de Ravenna, Boutique de Souvenirs. And this is just another little kind of gift shop for the park. Once again, we've got some amazing character work here by SP Ridley. This is one of the main characters for the kind of the hero IP. And as I said, we'll go into that properly in depth in the next episode. And this building was kind of inspired by a couple of things, really. Although there were a couple of like concrete inspirations for this building, it's really just sort of a generic like fantasy cottage type thing. There was funnily enough, a church design by Frank Lloyd Wright, like a really early church design that I saw on Twitter. I think it was, somebody posted it, which is just a very pleasing kind of like cottage vibe. That was the initial thing that I saw that I was like, oh, I'd like to do something like that in the park. And then when I was talking about needing a gift shop for this character, friend of the channel TMH recommended Mickey something. There's a gift shop at Disneyland Paris. So yeah, those were the kind of the general inspirations, but we've kind of landed on something a little bit different, just sort of general fantasy vibes. One really annoying thing about this building is that it is facing north, I guess it is, or I don't know, it's facing away from the entrance, which means that it basically doesn't get any sunlight on the front of it. This is the best we can do, which is sad. I really wish Frontier would add like a sun angle option to the weather menu where you could kind of rotate the sun and have it so that the sun was facing in this direction if you wanted. I guess it would only really be good for screenshots and stuff, but you know, taking nice screenshots and videos is kind of like half the point of playing the game. So it's a shame. It still looks really nice. I'm still dead chuffed with how it's come out in the end. SP did this really cool moment here where the gold is like dropping out of the netting onto the roof and down onto the floor here. So yeah, that basically covers everything that we've built so far. These are just some random pieces that I found while searching for other things. That basically covers everything that we've built so far. As you can see here, the plans for the future. Big lake. Hello, bird. There's going to be a big lake going around the park. Over on the right here, there's going to be a big knockoff, similar to Plopsaland again. We're going to be ripping off Plopsaland quite a bit. Over here, there's going to be like a Disneyland rip-off castle, basically. Of some kind, although the style will be different. But yeah, there's going to be a kind of a weenie castle over on the right side over there, and many other things. We've got lots of big plans in the works. We'll talk about some more of them in the next episode with SP, because we've been kind of devising a bunch of IPs and a bunch of rides to go along with those IPs. That is where we're going to leave it for today. Thank you for coming back and hanging out. Hopefully we will be back again soon with a new episode. In the meantime, look after yourselves, and I will catch you next time. Bye.